What is here's the tree house I was telling you about in the last video, and I'm going to show you how I've used some right triangle trigonometry to make my life a little easier when doing some construction. So let's look at this tree house here. I want to talk about the steps. So let's get this color. So I needed to know the length of that. I think that was a 2x6. So I need to know the length of that piece of lumber there that I need to cut to figure out when you're planning. It's really important that you know how much material you need, and so this really helps in the planning phase, actually working and figuring this out. So what I do is I can measure straight down from the tree house, and I recall getting that to be about 7 feet. Okay, that was 7 feet. And in the book that I had, I seem to remember it said that the elevation of the treehouse, that this angle here needed to elevate at about, I think it was about 68 degrees. I think at least it said for tree houses to be safe that thing needed to elevate, I think at most 68 degrees. Yeah, so at most 68 degrees. Anyway, so you see here, you get the idea. So really what this turns into is a simple right triangle trigonometry problem. So that is, I have a side of 7, and I have an angle of 68 degrees here. Okay, and I want to find the actual, what I'm trying to find is that's the actual length of my 2x6 there that I need to build those steps. So to find that, let's call that C. Okay, and I'm going to get how do I have an angle, I have the opposite side, and I need the hypotenuse. Okay, that's going to be sine. So that's going to tell me that the sine of 68 degrees equals opposite 7 over hypotenuse, 7 over C. Alright, multiply both sides by C. C's cancel. I get C times the sine of 68 degrees equals 7. Divide out by the sine of 68, and we get that C equals 7 over the sine of 68 degrees. Go to our calculator, and we get the sine. Oops, that's not what I want. Clear that all out. 7 divided by the sine of 68. And we're going to get 7.549. I'm going to round to 3 decimal places. That's going to be about 7.55. It's about 7.55, and I'm in feet. Okay, talking about feet here. 7.55 feet, 7.5 feet. And so we always need, I need this 0.55 feet to be 0.55 equals x over 12. That's going to give it to me in inches, that 0.55 in inches. So I'm going to do this quickly here. X equals 12 times 0.55. 12 times 0.55. So that's going to be 6.6 inches. So that's going to equal 6.6. And then I want to get a different color here. That 0.6 here, I want to get that in 1/16 of an inch. So 0.6 equals some y over 16. That tells me how to represent 0.6 as a 1/16 of an inch. So y equals 0.6 times 16. 0.6 times 16. Alright, 9.6. So we'd round up to about, so I'd say about 10. So that is, over here we get that C. Now this is important if I'm outside doing carpentry, that I don't need 7 point. It's hard to find 7.55 on the tape measure. So we get 7 feet, and we get that 0.55 over here gave me 6 inches, 6 inches, and y, and the 0.6 here gave me 10/16, and 10/16. Okay, and so that's going to give me, I would say, this is how you'd write it using the carpentry lingo. So 7, one line there means feet, and then 6, and 10/16 reduces what, 5/8? 5/8 of an inch. So that would be the length of the board that I need to make this step, given that the height to the ground is 7 feet and that this angle of elevation here is 68 degrees. So we're looking good. Let's do one more. Okay, let me talk about another simple problem here. Let's look at these rafters up on the roof. See if I can find the colors going to come out good. So up here on the roof we see a triangle right there. Okay, and so for that triangle there, I would use that triangle to figure out the length of those roof rafters. Okay, so that is, I know this side here, I know that this side here is 6 feet. I mean, I built it that way, designed it that way, and I know that, so that's 6 feet, and I know that this side here is 7 inches. Alright, to get water to run off, you need at least 1 inch for every foot. So I got a little more than 1 inch for every foot. I'm right. If it was 1 inch for each foot, that would be 7 inches. So I mean 6 inches. So 7 inches gives me about a little more than 1 inch per foot. So, and we want to find the actual length of the roof rafter up here. Okay. So to find that length, it just turns into a simple problem about triangles. Or I know, so I'm in inches here, so I need to make this 6 feet in inches, or I could make 7 inches in the 7/12 of a foot. That would give us a fraction. Nobody wants to deal with that. So 6 feet is what? 72. 6 times 2 is 12. 72 inches. 72 inches. And here is 7 inches. So let's get the length of that side there. Okay. And so for here, we just use the Pythagorean theorem. So that is, so that's at C. So C squared equals 7 squared plus 72 squared. So C equals the square root of, let's see, what's 49 plus 72 squared? 49 is 7 squared plus 72 squared. 5233. Okay, 5233. And so C is going to be, remember we're in inches here. C is going to be about what? Second square root 5233. 72.339. So 72.339 inches. And again, it's hard to get 0.339 inches on a tape measure. So you'd want to take that 0.339 and say that equals to what? X over 16. So how do I write that in 16ths of an inch? So multiply both sides by 16 and we get that X equals what, 0.339 times 16. So 5.4, so we'd say 5/16. We'd round that to X is about 5. So C would equal to 72 and 5/16 of an inch. You might want to go up to 30 seconds, or it's 5.4. Anyway, you get the idea. So that's how I'd find that. And now to find this angle of elevation, let's call that theta. To find the actual angle of elevation that I would need to measure, I would do, so I know the opposite, I know the adjacent, so that tells me tangent. Tangent of theta equals 7 over 72, and oh man, I realize I need inverse trigonometry to figure out the angle. So that will be in the next section, I believe. We'll get into the inverse trig. So let's cut it short there on this video. Hope this helps you guys out. Again, solving these right triangles is so important. It's so cool. It comes up in so many places. I really encourage you to try to understand it, not just memorize the ideals, but really try to understand the ideals. And I think you will find it very rewarding in the long run. Alright, see you in the next video.